Welcome to the Digital Journey Podcast. Every successful online business entrepreneur has an incredible story to share about their journey to success. Listen and learn from top digital mavericks and online business insiders as they share their secrets so you can live the lifestyle you deserve. Your pilots for today's journey, Rob Fortney and Nick Nimmin. Welcome aboard, passengers. The Digital Journey begins now.
Welcome to the Digital Journey Podcast, where we help you navigate your online business voyage. My name is Nick Nimmin. I'm here with my partner, Rob Fortney from Amazon Gorillas. Rob, how are you?
I'm so good. I can't stand it, and excited to hear the information we've got today.
That is awesome to hear. If this is your first time listening, then thanks for coming. And if you're returning, it's nice to see you again. The Digital Journey Podcast is produced every week for your enjoyment. Come back often, and feel free to add the podcast to your favorite RSS feed or your iTunes. All links to everything that we talk about is in the show notes. Now, let's get into the show. Today, we are here with Rohit Gondry. Rohit, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Fantastic. So Rohit is a digital entrepreneur. He does a lot of things in the online space. Rohit, could you tell us a little bit about your backstory?
My backstory, I used to work in corporate America. I was working for 5+ years. And I left my job to travel. And when I left my job, I bought my first website as a test. And a few months later, I was putting a little bit of work into it. And that website grew. And I saw that even in my prior life, when I was doing corporate job, I was an investor. So I was always interested in things that return well. And when I saw that websites are a great investment, I bought one as a test. And when that worked, I doubled down and I bought more sites after that. So I have 3 websites right now, and I'm fully focused on growing them and acquiring new sites when they happen to be available.
Nice. So basically, it's been able to, by getting into that, you've been able to transition into that as a full-time thing, to where you're not doing anything for anyone else anymore. You're solely living off of the websites that you've purchased and generating the income from those. Is that correct?
No, the income that is generated from the website is I'm reinvesting everything right now, and I'm living off of my savings.
Okay.
So, but I left my job just to travel, not to do this full time. And I found this along the way, and I then started doing it more seriously.
Now, real quick, I want to back that statement up really quick. He left his job to travel while he's basically taking the money from the sites to reinvest into the sites.
Yeah,
essentially.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. So you stopped your full-time job, you left the full-time job, you left the rat race, so to speak, to travel.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Right.
Yeah, high five.
Thank you.
High five
As
there.
all of us here, hey, you know what? There's 3 guys sitting here right now who left that deal and got off of that. I call it the hamster wheel. And you're always chasing that carrot and it's just running in a circle.
Yeah.
And so we are obviously able to get off of that. But for you, you're still in that place where, at some point your savings are going to run out. So, you're in the real deal part of this battle. Like Nick and I both we've transferred past that on now. And so I remember when I was out there, when I stopped and said, well, I was kind of forced. I was in the restaurant business, and my last restaurant closed. So there was no money coming in. I had to figure out something regardless. And I knew
back was to the wall.
Right. My back was against the wall. And I was living on savings. It's the same deal. I was living on savings, staying by myself, trying to figure out how am I going to figure this out. And along the way, I just started, I started doing FBA. So I started buying products and, importing it from China and then selling them. So that a little bit different path, but the same thing. You start out trying to figure it out. And clearly, we were talking just off camera before we started, how you're already starting to see things happen, I just from hearing you, I can already see, you can see there's a path to the end of this thing where you go, you know what, I'm still enjoying my travel. I'm not at this point where I'm panicked because I know that I've got money coming and I know how to actually manufacture it. So when you first, I always talk about this, do you remember that first moment when you actually, the light clicked and you said, you know what, I made money. And that first dollar, it's always the most exciting, it's the most exciting thing. Every time I talk about it, you watch it, I watched it just light up right there. So tell me about that experience when you first make your first dollar.
Yeah, I remember it was in March of this year, and I've been putting content into this site for 6 months. I started this from scratch, and nothing happened, right? But I knew something was going to happen. And in March, I made $25 through Amazon affiliate. And that was, I was focusing a product which was hundreds of dollars. So it was a little harder to convert. Right. But when it converts, it pays well. And that was like, oh my God, I was so excited. It was just $25, but that was a proof. If I can do it for $25, I can do $2,500 or $25,000.
It scales from there. You're right. And I always, my story is I was selling Wonder Woman cell phone cases. The reality is that, Wonder Woman movie just came out. Well, this was 3.5 years ago when they were talking about coming out with the movie, and I thought, well, I'll just get on this craze now.
Right, catch the curve.
As in many times, I was so far ahead of the curve in my life that it crushed me. Like, I can't tell you how many times in my life I was ahead of the curve too far. And hopefully, as I get older, I slow down, so maybe I'll get in the curve more, maybe. But so I remember selling this literally. I was doing a flip from eBay to Amazon, I think is how I did it. And, at the end of the day, I sold a $7, $14 Amazon, cell phone cover and made, I think it was $6. You know what I mean? But like, you'd have thought I won, the lottery that day. It's the best feeling on earth.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So here you are, you're starting on your business journey. So you're going to travel for a living. You're going to go and see some stuff and, get your life more in your control. And so you decide, okay, well, I've got to do some businesses. I've got to figure out how am I going to go back to the corporate world, or am I going to try to figure out how do I keep travel? How do you decide to get into, the content or the affiliate side of the marketing?
So when I left my job, as I said earlier, I saw this as an opportunity and I wanted to get in. And I knew that if I go in myself, I'll have a learning curve. I'll take 6 months to 1 year or however long it takes, right? So I found a partner, a person who's already been able to buy and sell websites, but what he has not been able to do was scale them, right? And he's I call him a kid, but he sold tens of websites, right? But he's a college-going student and who started when he was 18 years old, and he knows his stuff. But he doesn't know how to hire, he doesn't know how to set up processes and stuff like that. And from my corporate world, I know that stuff. So I went to him and I said, partner with me. So that's how I got started, and he was very good at content sites. If he had been good at any other kind of sites, I would have done that with him. Okay. It didn't matter, right? So that's how I got into content sites, because I wanted to do it with someone, and that someone was doing content.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well,
yeah, and that significantly shortened the learning curve, right?
So basically, you partnered up with somebody that had a skill set that you didn't have. That's the takeaway. Is you partnered up with somebody that didn't have a skill set that you had, and then you complemented the skill set that they have with the skill sets that you were able to bring to the table.
Exactly.
And that's the whole purpose of why we do the show right here is to be able to show people that there are multiple paths to the top.
Yeah.
There is multiple paths. So you don't have to be stuck. Well, the only way to do it is this. And you're going to find that any people, and this space, everybody comes up with their own path. We're kind of all mavericks to begin with. The fact that we're, if you're willing to quit your job and go travel, first of all, you have to have a little bit extra in yourself, in your gas tank. There's some high petrol fuel in you to begin with. But now you're in that space.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that space. Give me a perspective. So I'm out there and I'm considering starting a new business.
Yeah.
Or I'm even considering starting a business that I could sell. So maybe I'm going to buy one or I'm going to sell one. Why do you think that content space or affiliate space is a great space to be in right now?
One thing is it's very easy for a beginner. It's very easy to get started, right? So you don't need to figure out a lot of things to create a successful Amazon affiliate site. So it's the barrier to entry is not that high. At the same time, it's high enough that you don't have I guess there are a lot of competitors, but it's not like crazy, It's not like very, very low barrier to entry that there are thousands of people in every sub-niche. So once you pick a right sub-niche, it's easy to get started. So that's why I would recommend for beginners, Amazon affiliate is a good starting point.
So along the journey so far, have you had any roadblocks? Like when you first started, when you first decided to get into it? I mean, of course, you said previously that you were bringing your skill set in, and you found your friend that had their skill set. But besides not having that skill set initially, have you ran into any other roadblocks to warn people about?
Yeah, the biggest roadblock has been finding good sites. So there is a lot of trash out there. The sites like very, very scammy, and it takes some amount of skill to weed them out. Luckily, I have a partner who knows that stuff. So even if I was going to make a bad decision, he stopped me in the last minute. But that has been the biggest bottleneck: finding good quality sites to buy, right? And there is only one a month that pops up, if at all.
Wow,
right?
That's a low rate because there's a lot of websites. What do you look for?
I'm talking about a very small. So from my experience, I noticed taking something from $0 to $100 a month is very hard to do, right? So you have to find the right niche. You have to get out of Google's sandbox, which they put you in for 6 months. But getting from 100 to 1,000 is way easier, right? You just have to scale. You have to set up processes and scale it. So my strategy has been to buy those $100 sites and convert them to a $1,000 site. So to buy a good $100 site is the bottleneck, right? So that is the hardest.
So for somebody that's looking to get into that same thing, somebody that's looking, hey, I want to go to a website, and I want to look for a site that is a $100 website to kind of get started. Like, what are some good indicators of a good website?
Good $100 website. So you can go to Flippa and you can set up some filters so that you get an email automatically when it satisfies those constraints. So you can put things like it should have revenue from Amazon and Google only. Sometimes you get $100 websites which are selling links, right? So that's not really white hat. That's not really legit stuff. So it might go away tomorrow, or I don't want to buy sites like that. So you can mention certain criteria. That is one thing too. And always check backlinks. I have Ahrefs, which is $200 a month, right? And any website I'm trying to buy, I vet it for backlinks. And if it has any spammy backlinks, or if it has any bad stuff, I don't go through it at all, right? Like I don't bother buying it. And it's actually very easy to find spammy websites. People don't even do the due diligence of taking like half an hour, 1 hour before they buy the site. But if you just go through the site, read all the content, and check the backlinks, you should very quickly weed out the bad sites.
Okay, so basically, the takeaway from that one is, just basically you look at the site, take a little bit of time to look at where they're getting their traffic from, and to make sure that everything that they're saying that they're generating, they're actually generating that.
That's right. And also ask for Amazon walkthroughs if they're generating money from their Amazon account. A lot of people on Flippa especially, they fake the screenshots, right? So just looking at the screenshot, it looks legit, but if you ask for a video walkthrough, if a seller rejects, likely that they faked it, right? So things like that, and just see if they're behaving like a normal human.
Nice. That's a great tip because like you can go into the source code on Google Chrome. Right, you can just right-click, go into the source code, and you can just change numbers there, and then take a screenshot of it.
Exactly.
So that's a really smart thing as far as to avoid getting scammed that way.
Yeah.
So as far as doing a video walkthrough.
You know what it is? You know what I call that? I call that the big fish strategy, or not getting catfished. It's kind of like those guys that date those girls online. It used to be a big problem where you date a girl and you go to meet her and you get there and she says she's a supermodel and she's actually a guy named George. And it's the same thing with a website.
You again, George.
Right. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. Whereas it's Chinese suppliers. I have the same situation. People are like, well, how do I know a Chinese supplier? Well, you know what? On the phone with the Chinese supplier, tell him to pop out his cell phone and go walk through his warehouse and show you his factory.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If he's unwilling to do that, clearly he's probably not a manufacturer. He's probably a sourcing agent. You know what I mean? Like, go down on the sales floor. I want you to show me your plant. And if he's not willing to he's got a WhatsApp, just go turn on the camera and go down there. And I think that's the same thing. That's a great thing, which is that you got somebody, hey, go do a screencast of you logging in continuously. Show me in your account. Show me what your history looks like in your Amazon account. Great tip.
Yeah.
But I love the idea also that, so the two things, we got two huge tips there. I always like to make sure you define what they are. So first one is it's getting a site that's doing $100 a month, because what you're talking about is that first $100, it's getting out of the sandbox with Google saying, okay, we're not going to give you any ratings until you get through this first part. So getting over that hump is so. But then again, to me, that says there's a lot of $100 sites out there. It's just finding them. Then there's people out there.
There are a lot of $100. There are not a lot of $100 legit sites. There are a lot of $100 spammy sites. Even if they get revenue in a legitimate way, if they did a lot of not so legitimate stuff with the site, I don't want it. Because it could go out
in a minute. Google wakes up and says, no, we don't like what you did there.
Exactly. Yeah. So I made a commitment to do 100% white hat, right? So I don't want to do any gray hat, black hat, not at all.
You're future-proofing yourself
Yeah,
by doing
exactly.
that, because basically, if you build it solid from the ground up, and or you know, if you're buying it where they've built it solid from the ground up, then you know that, hey, you know, I can depend on this in the future. I don't have to worry when I go to sleep at night. I don't have to worry about waking up and thinking, oh no, Google just de-indexed my site because I was doing things that were, you know, not by the book.
Yeah,
that's great.
Exactly.
Nick and I had lunch today, and we were talking about, because we're doing some affiliate stuff right now we're working on, and that was the conversation. Like, there's no need to be out front trying to game the system, and those are the people, I think, that try to take the shortcut to the top and try to get over and do stuff that isn't great. There's a clear path to go do it. You just have to do the work to be able to do it.
And doing the work is only marginally harder than taking the shortcut. It's not like shortcut is way easier.
Right.
It's only marginally easier, so it's not worth it.
Well, the only reason to take the shortcut is to get somebody to scam them into buying your site. Right? I mean, the whole purpose is to create a bunch of false numbers in reality, you know, or they're trying to create that quick cash, get that $100, $200, and then flip it and go do something else and drop that site and do it again and do it again as Amazon, as Google shuts them down. So, what skills do you think that somebody who's going to build a site? What kind of skills do you think super important? Maybe they've never built a content site. So like you said, you found somebody that had some of this other thing. What other skills do you think that you've had to learn along the way that have helped you out?
So keyword research is very important. I think that is the number one skill. I don't have it myself. Okay. My partner does. That's why I partnered with him, right? So keyword research is very important to get started, right? So if you know the right keywords, then most of the things after that get easy. And the second skill that is very important is delegating, I would say. That differentiates someone from, someone who can grow, someone who gets stuck with $100 sites to someone who can grow to $1,000, $10,000,
Right, you can't do everything yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. And once you learn to delegate, you can delegate through contractors and stuff. Then the next important skill would be hiring, right? So how do you find these like star people that want to work for you, right? And in the part of delegating, we have to give very clear instructions. And once you do that, people really want to work for you, right? There are a lot of people out there who don't give clear instructions, right? But when you do that, for example, if for contractors working with me, it's almost like I'm teaching a course for them. I have my own YouTube videos. It's almost like a mini course for them to do their work, and they love it. They're like, it's so clear. I know exactly what to do, and yeah.
And are you contracting out of India then? Or?
No, just on Upwork.
So anywhere,
anybody.
Yeah. So and the reason I mention that is I know a lot of people who work in the Amazon game through in India,
like brickwork and stuff like that.
But I mean, what happens is that genuinely people love to be trained, and that's why so many people love to work with Amazon, because Amazon is incredible at their training, and people want to make money consistently. So if you can offer them, and the problem is that people go, well, go do this. Well, people aren't good at figuring it out. Like we talked on the last podcast about it, which is I call sheep and sheep herders. Okay, if you're a sheep herder, you've got to be able to show the path to be able to send the sheep to.
Yeah, and then it works better for you. So you'll get the result, and you give them more work, right? So
and they're happy.
And
happy people work much better. Yeah. And then giving them unattainable expectations is the problem. So.
And also one more thing that helped me a lot while hiring is giving a test assignment, right? So I pay them, but I use what is called like the agile method. I give them a very small task for $5, $10, whatever. I give that to 5 people, right? So if it's a $5 task, I'm only spending $25 instead of 5 hours of my time interviewing. Their work speaks volumes so much more than any interview, right? Yeah. So out of those 5 people, I take 3 people and give them a $25 task. And out of those 3 people, I give them, and I'm giving them actual work. So I know how they're going to.
Done, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm getting something done also, and I'm weeding out bad people so fast that it always gets me to the star person, you know.
That's a great tip.
Yeah, walk back through that again, because I think that's so what you're doing is, so you go and you take 5 people, give them all $5, $10 tasks.
Yeah.
It could be simple, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Then you get that work back, you evaluate all their work.
Yeah.
Then you take those people and you eliminate some, and then you upgrade there to the next level. You give them a $25 task.
Yeah. And they don't know that they're going through a test, right? So I tell them, this is the task. I just have a small task. Just do it for me. And they do it. So I want them to give the same.
How they communicate with
Yeah.
you, how they return it, the work,
Exactly.
the orderliness, the cleanliness of it, everything on that.
Exactly.
Nice. Where do you find them?
Upwork.
Upwork. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Upwork has been my number one source of
Okay,
writers.
nice.
I need to apply that strategy. I don't do well sometimes with Upwork.
Yeah,
So.
a lot of people spend time or waste time interviewing, and I'm totally against it. I don't even project managers I don't talk to sometimes.
Yeah, that's good. A friend of mine, he one of the processes that he used to try to narrow down good people as well is he has a YouTube channel, so he hires like editors and things like that for his YouTube channel. So basically, he writes just this big long description on, hey, these are all the things that I need. This is what I'm looking for, and somewhere in there, he places just one small sentence that says, at the time that you read this, when you make your reply, let me know how many subscribers I have on my YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. So then basically what he's doing is he's separating people that are actually reading it from the people that are just going to scan it real quick and try to get an idea.
That's the old trick they used to do in school with you. It's the teachers say, make sure you read the whole entire quest before you start. And then at the last question on the thing was, don't do any of the questions, turn it in and be done.
Right. Yeah.
Exact same kind of deal.
Yeah. But it's effective. It's definitely a way to kind of, one of the things that you can do, like a trick of sorts to help narrow down good
I've
people.
used that strategy, but the problem with that is nowadays so it works well for higher quality jobs if you're willing to pay $15, $20. So you're weeding out the people who are not willing to put the work to read your entire job description, right? But when you're doing it for smaller jobs, they have to apply for hundreds of jobs. So you can't expect someone to go through all the details of all those hundreds of jobs. So for smaller tasks, that I would not recommend doing that, but for bigger tasks, absolutely.
Sure. So what would you define, just to clarify that, what would you define as a smaller task versus a bigger task?
Like a VA type task, which is posting stuff on the website, doing some research for you on Google, collecting contact information. You probably pay less than $5 an hour. And that task, I don't think you need that, but more in-depth like project management, doing high quality content, writing, things like that, yes.
Every online entrepreneur has digital tools that contribute to their success. What's in your digital toolbox?
Give us some insight into what it is that you're consuming and what you're using inside of your business.
So for learning how to do this, how to create websites, I learned from authorityhacker.com. They're really good at what they do. They have a course as well if someone is interested. Tools-wise, I use Trello for assigning tasks. I have clear lists. This is in pending, this is in progress, this is done, so that between you and your project manager or between you and your VA, there is a clear expectation which one is being worked on and which one is done. What else do I use? Tools-wise, I use Ahrefs a lot for keyword research, finding what my competitors are doing, and trying to engineer my competitors' stuff and so on.
Nice. What is that? Ahrefs?
Ahrefs, H as in...
Oh, Ahref. Okay, like a URL. Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. What kind of, are you listening to any podcasts? Or what are you reading right now?
Oh, podcasts. Podcasts, yeah, I listen to Authority Hacker podcast as well. And I listen to Mixergy podcast. Mixergy podcast is not really directly about website investing. It's more of an inspiration, right? So you hear about these entrepreneurs who are doing great stuff, and it pushes you to do better. Reading, I don't read about website investing. Mostly, I learn it from podcasts and blogs and stuff.
So personal growth, do you read any blogs or anything like that?
I read general stuff. The most recent book I reread Anti-Fragile by Nassim Taleb. Okay. It's a brilliant book. It's a mindset more than... it helped me in entrepreneurship a lot, actually.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of stuff we look for. We want to hear stuff like that. I mean, because mindset, I can tell you this, I think that the most significant thing you can do in your business is to have the right mindset.
Oh, yeah.
Like, without those, and that's why we ask that. Like, that's why I ask, well, what kind of media do you consume? Because that media usually gives me indication of where the healthiness in your life is coming from to be able to be an entrepreneur, because you have to have your mind in a healthy place to be able to do that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mostly read not so related books, and that gives me a lot of motivation to actually keep going. Anti-Fragile is one of the book which helped me a lot with a mindset about business, but it's not a business book at all.
Right.
It talks about how in life you have non-linear risk-reward situations. So if the chance of failure is more than the chance of success, like if you're investing in stock, if you have $100,000 of your own portfolio in stock, that portfolio making 10 times is very small. But the portfolio going down 10 times is higher. So it's a non-linear risk reward. So you shouldn't go into those things, right? But if you're buying a website, for example, the loss is only $3,000, but the gain is $30,000, right? So it's non-linear to your advantage. So you find things like this in life all the time, which are non-linear risk and reward, favoring the reward side. And if you continually keep doing the things which have more reward than risk, you will end up in a better place. And one other book I really like is Sapiens. He talks about human history from the time we invented fire 200,000 years ago to how we invented money, kingdoms, empires.
Nice.
It's so in depth and
Like a backstory on civilization, essentially.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, Rohit. Now this part, we call this big questions with little answers. Right, so basically what we try to do is we try to ask a bigger question, and then you try to pack the answer to that question into, like a phrase or a sentence or something like that, so it's easily consumable. Just try to wrap up the idea, with a small answer. Mm-hmm. In a smaller answer than I just dragged out the introduction to this part. Right.
Got it.
So,
Rob, do you want to hit us with the big question?
All right, the big question is this: if you got one thing that you think will make you successful because right now, you're at this thing. We've got to now take what you've done with these sites. You've bought these sites, and now we've got to turn them to the next level, which is to either increase the revenue enough that it's substantial enough, or then resell them. So what is it during that process what's the one thing that's going to make you successful, do you think, through that process?
It's a time machine. I need more time on the websites to I have the whole engine set up, right? I spend less than an hour,
right.
But I want my website to age more, so that it makes more revenue.
Get an aging machine.
Yes, yeah.
Now, let me ask you this: with your websites, so you're buying $100 websites and you are turning them into 1,000+ websites.
Yeah.
So, from your personal experience, what is the biggest success that you've had from a $100 website? Like what have you turned a $100 website into?
So the one that I have now, it's close to $2,000 in revenue, and I bought it when it was making $140 per month.
Right.
Nice.
So because we know the Empire Flippers, as Empire Flippers being a sponsor of the show, so let's put that number into perspective. So we're talking about something that he couldn't have sold at Empire Flippers. Now he's doing $2,000 a month. You take $2,000 a month, you multiply it times at least 20 to 25. He now has a website. So you bought a $140 a month website for how much?
For $2,500.
All right, so he's got $2,500. Right now, how long has it been since you own that website?
6 months.
Okay, 6 months. His website right now is worth $50,000-ish.
Yeah.
No.
But and he gets another 6 months in it. It likely, even if he just continued, his website's going to be. So he takes a $2,500 investment in a year. Real deal.
Less than.
Right. Yeah. Well, he's got to have a year. You need to have a year track record for the guys at Empire Flippers to be able to, so you can show, hey, I did this over a year. And he's going to be able to show consistent, continued growth.
Yeah.
He's going to take a $2,500 investment and turn it into $50,000. Plus, he gets to keep the $2,000 he made every month for the 6 months.
No, but just for some perspective, it's not an autopilot kind of thing. These 6 months we were churning. Not up and down, but it has been consistently growing. There were not many downs, but it was a lot of hustle. Like we put in 10x work on the website, right? Than what it was doing for the last few years. So there is a lot of work done in it. It's a very active thing. Yeah.
Right. Wait, this isn't well. And I think that's one of the things that people got to have in perspective.
Yeah.
If you're going to get into the online space, don't think that the online space doesn't mean this is like you throw money down and it just makes money. I mean, that's not what this is. Like, I don't care what business you're going to invest in online, whether it's an Amazon business or you're going to start any business. It's a business and you got to work. This isn't free money. This isn't like some Cracker Jack box gift that you get at the end. And, magically.
Actually, there is one guy called MJ DeMarco. He wrote this book called The Fast Lane Millionaire. Billionaire. That's another book I would highly recommend for anyone who wants to start a business. And he talks about, so there is no, people talk about get rich quick, right? Get rich quick actually exists, but he goes further and says get rich quick is the only way to get rich. If you think about Mark Zuckerberg, for example, he was a billionaire before he was 30. It's very, very quick. And even in my case, in 6 months, I increased something by 50x, right? Or 25x. Right. Get rich quick is the only way to get quick. But what doesn't exist is get rich easy. So
there you go.
Yeah, that's
so
good.
that is not possible. But get rich quick actually happens all the time, and that's the only way to get rich. There is no, you can't.
There's not enough time to
you
get rich
can't
slow.
steady your way
right.
up.
Yeah, exactly.
It would take you forever.
Exactly. So like if you have to build a business which grows quickly and then sell it. If you're building or putting money into mutual funds, you're not going to get rich with that.
Not quick.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Now, Rohit, one of the things that you do online as well, you do a podcast.
Oh yeah,
Right. What is the podcast? Tell us about your podcast. Tell us
Yes.
what it's about. The things you talk about in your podcast.
That podcast has been one of the inspirations to start my own business as well. My podcast is called Breaking the Borders, and I interview first generation immigrant entrepreneurs who are in the US. And I have 75 episodes already up there, and these are people who are from all parts of the world, like India, China, parts of Europe, who came as first generation immigrants to the US and started their own company and grew it, right? And most of the guests are in the tech space. So if anyone is interested in the tech entrepreneurs, they can check out that my podcast too. It's breakingtheborders.com.
Nice. And they can find that on iTunes and on your breakingtheborders.com website.
Yes, that's
right?
correct.
Okay, fantastic. Well, Rohit, thank you so much for coming on the show. We appreciate having you on.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
If you are interested in speaking to either Nick or I, you can reach me on Facebook at Rob Fortney Jr. And you can send me a message. I'll answer any questions I can, lead you any directions I can.
You can reach me at nickniman.com. And Rohit, if they want to reach out to you, if somebody wants to reach out to you for a business contact, somebody wants to reach out to you to pick your brain and just to hang out, where do they reach you?
They can reach me at Rohit, ROHIT, at breakingtheborders.com.
Fantastic. Empire Flippers is the #1 curated marketplace for buying and selling established, profitable online businesses. Visit their website, Empire Flippers, and see what businesses are for sale. Or if you already own a business, there is a great place on their website which you can get your business evaluated and see how much it's worth. You have been listening to the Digital Journey Podcast, helping you navigate through your online business voyage. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye.
You're listening to the Digital Journey Podcast. The Digital Journey is brought to you by Empire Flippers, the largest marketplace for selling and purchasing online businesses. EmpireFlippers.com.